Hello YouTube, Choo Choo Dino here, and I am coming at you with a new series that I wish to call Monster Biology. Now, I took a look on YouTube about giant monsters, and I was wondering to myself, how do these creatures live? And how would they survive? What would they do? What would their appetite be? And as I looked around on the internet with mostly Godzilla ones, I discovered that, well, they mostly say that Godzilla is impossible due to the certain physics and attributes of real life animals. But just for fun, let's just say that these creatures could be possible. What would it take? Well, that's what you're about to find out here on Monster Biology. Episode 1, the King of the Monsters himself, Godzilla. Now, with the average height of Godzilla, well, the most major one that he has had so far is 350 feet tall or 104 meters in height, and weight is that of 90,000 metric tons. So basically, as best said by Vsauce 3, imagine a cruise ship with legs standing upright. Yeah, that's a pretty scary idea, isn't it? His species is that to be unknown, however, he may be a possible mix of amphibian or ancient lizard. And yes, I know he could also be a dinosaur mix of a Stegosaurus and Tyrannosaurus rex, but it is yet to be proven. Now, the history of this creature first started in the fictional world of Oda Island in 1954. The massive and well-known dinosaur has been marching around the world for nearly 70 years, having a total of 29 films from 1954 to today. Don't mind the phone. Each of his reincarnations have shown that the species is that of a long-living and powerful one, facing against many monsters, each one that is faster, larger, and even more powerful than its own. Yet his victories seem to outweigh his defeats. So, how did this creature live? Let's find out. First, we look at exactly what this thing is, and we can already tell that this thing shouldn't exist. Mostly due to the square cube law, as stated in many videos, and as I already said before, Vsauce 3 channel, it is stated that when an object grows, its mass increases more rapidly than its density. Meaning that when you reach around Godzilla size, you would just turn into mulch with your very first step. Though, I do know one way that this could be possible while still following the cube square law. For a creature of this size, it would need certain features that give it the ability to grow to such heights. First comes the skeleton structure. As stated before, mass increases faster than density. Though not all things in the universe have the same breaking point, say for example calcium, one of the main ingredients for bone. Depending on how much calcium the bone contains tells you on how much force the bone can withstand. Human bones are able in order to handle a literal ton of pressure. So, yeah, we really don't have much of a problem supporting ourselves. Sadly, though, that's just not enough in order to withstand the mass of an animal that would be the size of Godzilla. Even blue whales have a very difficult time, and the reason why they're so large is because they're in the water, which support their weight. So perhaps his bones may be made of something stronger, like an unknown material that can do the job. The best theory I have in mind is that it could possibly, instead of his bones being made of calcium, it could be more of a well, let's just say less natural carbon compound. Perhaps it's pure carbon, as carbon is actually said to be a very dense object when put into a very small amount of space. So, yeah. He also might need a good muscular system. So for humans, muscle strength can do amazing things. They are what allows us to move, stand, sit, and do some very amazing hamstring stretches. Yes, I'm not kidding about that part there either. They can help us consume food and turn to energy like our stomach and liver, and are necessary for reproduction. And trust me, boys, if you know where I'm going with that. So for Godzilla, his muscular system must be as powerful as a freight train with 90,000 tons of body mass that might actually be light and compact. For his muscles at least. Like how our tongue is super strong even in its small size. It is due to that with all of that tight post protein all packed together, allowing it in order to do, well, swallow just about a lot of stuff, and it's very important and necessary for that. However, instead of muscle, it most likely is more of a gelatin-like fat, just like how whales are very, very pushy and blushy while in the water. because if they were so uptight, they probably wouldn't be able to swim so well. But for a creature of Godzilla size, that probably would be necessary to walk on land. And if you didn't really have enough fat in order to actually, keep yourself from straying, you probably might rip your arms and legs apart just from moving on that size. So, enough of the possibility things. Let's just go with what we already know from the films, and let's just say that, well, we possibly might live in the films. What would Godzilla do in such a way? Like, for example, his appetite, his metabolism. What would be his food source? So, let's see here. The answer for this question is a little bit hard to explain. Although in most Godzilla films it is said that Godzilla feeds off of radioactive energy such as uranium, plutonium, and all those other nasty customers. This might not be the case though, for there are multiple problems when it comes to having radiation being a food source. For one, there is a risk of genetic illnesses such as cancer. Diseases like those would make cellular multiplication a problem as the cells would divide at an uncontrollable rate. Yet, possibly that could explain why he is so large in the first place, but still. It could also not really do so well when spreading it to offspring and make it a rapid genetic mutation. Meaning, not every single one is going to basically have the same features as the original. Say, for example, like, if someone has, like, some kind of genetic cancer, like, they were exposed to radiation, their offspring might lose an arm or a leg and other parts of which that we possibly need. I won't go into that much further, though, because, well, I really don't need to. So, where, not only that, though, but where would it go when used up? We've never seen Godzilla actually doing business, and, I mean, the only other time we see him using it is with fire breath, which I will get to very soon in the episode. However, it seems that he probably does the usual kind of eating, with that of whales and humpbacks. Thanks to those sharp claws and teeth, he would easily be able to rip them apart, thanks to their gelatin-like structure. Let's see here. Where was I? Oh yes, okay. So, yeah, blah blah blah, carnivore. So that's basically what his food source was most likely to be, even though that theory can also be pushed over to omnivore, since the Godzilla Jr. and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 was shown to eat flowers, and possibly a hamburger with bread. So, I guess whatever Godzilla can get in his stomach, he'll eat it. Now for defense mechanisms. So, if you are a die-hard kaiju fan like me, you should know many of Godzilla's attacks, with his most iconic one being his atomic burst, a stream of pure radiation, which explains on where all that nuclear energy went and where, and why he goes into Tokyo, Japan, looking for that good old plutonium, uranium, good stuff. So, in The Return of Godzilla, most commonly known as in the United States as Godzilla 1984 film, we have a scene where Godzilla picks up a nuclear reactor, while still working, mind you, and absorbs the radiation like a sponge with water. Kind of like how we absorb UV light in our skin to collect vitamin D. However, Godzilla absorbs the radiation for a defense purpose rather than an environmental purpose in order to adapt to the sun's rays. With the nuclear energy stored, Godzilla can use the energy later, can then later use it in order to upchuck onto his opponents. Imagine basically vomiting out something from your bodily fluids, but instead of feeling bad, it's actually pretty amazing because you're spitting out fire of some sort. Wow! Also, with many of his other nuclear energies, he's able to create EMPs and is able to create his own magnetic field, even though that kind of can also harm him, ironically. His physical features are also very well toned, with his hands and basically his feet able to crush buildings with just one fell swoop. Now for the life cycle. Like many, if not all lizards, they all start out small, if you call a 5-foot bipedal dinosaur a small start. Starting from an egg, Godzilla's size is that of a human size. As time goes on, after possibly a few years, the growth spurt can range from 5 feet to nearly 15 stories high. Then that's also when the Godzilla's offspring start to learn how to use their nuclear burst as a self-defense, taught from the parents, as seen in The Son of Godzilla. Teenage stage is when a child can now hunt on their own, and most likely start to lose the parental bond with their father or mother. Though similarly to humans, the offspring still show some compassion between their own kind. Yeah, that's pretty nice. The adult stage is the one of which that we see most commonly, with, the good old miniature features and minor changes here and there on the face and the legs and the tail. The last and most dangerous stage of the Godzilla life cycle, however, is the meltdown stage. The internal organs then start to heat up from the nuclear energy and act like a reactor on overdrive. Similar to the events of Long Island during the reactor crisis. Two events could occur at this point, though. Either he will do the meltdown, as shown in Godzilla vs. Destroyer, or he will do the opposite and more catastrophic version, which is an explosion. And apparently, to the scientists, they believe that the explosion would be like a planet killer. No life would be able to exist, it would be extremely hostile, and it probably would be as red as the Mars. I don't think anybody wants that. And now for a difficult topic to talk about, and that would be reproduction. A creature of this size having to survive and thrive would need to have a certain form of reproduction. So, how would Godzilla do it? Well, basically speaking, he probably can do it in two ways, similar to that of what the Komodo dragon could do, which I believe might be the closest relative we got to Godzilla, and many other dinosaurs, along with birds and raptors and so on. So, either he can do it asexually or through the usual intercourse. The main evidence is that of the theory comes from the relative, the Komodo dragon, which is able to reproduce asexually just as Godzilla can, and when given the chance, and probably would most likely want to do more often, is basically do it with a mate. So simple as that. Nothing too special there, I guess. I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to be in between two creatures like that trying to get it on. I stay out of their way, even if I wanted to... Nah. So, it looks like that's everything, guys. I covered all of what I needed to tell you, and everything of which that Godzilla possibly is. If you have any more questions, or if there is something that I've left out and you want me to cover in another episode, just go ahead and tell me down in the comments below. Subscribe for future episodes, because up next, for the Kaiju Monster Biology class, I will be covering the Terror of the Skies, Rodan. Thank you so much for watching, and hope I get to see you another time, my friends. Sayonara!